NFT. This
NFTs.
is the free magic letters now. So how did you have the idea to sell NFT at auction in an auction house like Christie's, I mean?
Sure. Okay. So in December last year, I think a lot of people who had their ear to the ground in the contemporary art scene and the art at auction scene took note when at Nifty Gateway, people had such an incredibly successful string of sales. There were serious numbers on the board at that point. So I think it was something like $3.5 million, more or less. And not to be crass, but as auction people, that is very attractive when you see a number like that and you start to pay attention. I was in the office in January. I hadn't been in the office for months. Throughout the pandemic, I worked from Los Angeles, from my parents' home, from Nashville briefly, from Brooklyn in one apartment that flooded, and then I went back to Nashville. So it was all over the place. But I was settled in to my new apartment in Dumbo, which I love. And I'd come to the office to see a IRL painting, an in real life painting. And one of my colleagues said to me, "Hey, I have a line on a potential great NFT for sale. What do you think?" And I said, "I am very interested," because I was aware of the Beeple results recently. And when eventually I was introduced to Beeple, and this became a collaboration with Mike Beeple, then it all just became so quickly obvious that we were handling something beyond the scope of a traditional lot in a first open sale. It was its own universe that we were stepping into, its own burgeoning art history that we were dealing with. And from that point on, I was basically drinking from the fire hose.
Because you were very familiar already with NFT?
No, vaguely. I was at best vaguely familiar. I was interested by it. I was intrigued by it. So I studied the theater of the absurd in college, which I think actually prepared me very well for working in art generally, but specifically art at auction, where there's this like ritualistic quality to the auction event, and the personalities are so outsized and crazy and unique. And I saw what Mike was doing and what NFT technology was doing as this very destabilizing, chaotic force. And of course, it's my nature to key into that. I wanted very much for this to be an event that would destabilize the very staid and often conservative art world, and change the way we do business and to change the way we think about how art can be perceived as well as conceived. And I think, this sale, it caused a lot of collateral damage. And I think that a little chaos is very welcome every once in a while.
But we have more than a chaos for 1 year. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Already, we didn't need that. But anyway,
well, okay.
They came to you. They came to you, right?
Yes.
To ask if the artist came to you.
So who came to us is Maker's Place. Maker's Place is one of the NFT-based art exchanges which currently exist. There are a few of these places. You could think of them as digital auction houses. Maker's Place, Nifty Gateway, Rarible, OpenSea, all of those are different venues for sale. Maker's Place approached us with the opportunity to introduce us to Mike and to also mint the token for this sale. They actually, Maker's Place minted the NFT that we sold. So we were all collaborators.
Okay. And so what did you think at first glance to the work itself?
Oh man, so it was funny the way that this all coalesced. At first I've said the word amused and intrigued a couple of times. I think we received a proposal from Mike initially for the NFT, which was the 5,000th image in his Everydays project so far. And if you're unfamiliar with the image, I will briefly describe it. It is highly inappropriate for Christie's and not at all aligned with our brand. But it is a self-portrait of Mike as a child, doodling in a book, and looming behind him are the various avatars that thread their way through his work, including a nude Buzz Lightyear and a Kim Jong-un with breasts. It was all very provocative and entertaining, certainly. But we said, Mike, can you not? Can we please try again with something a little more thoughtful, for our audience, with our audience in mind? And he came back to us with the 5,000 Everydays collage, the first 5,000 days of this epic kind of quixotic quest he's been on to create a new artwork every day.
So he just gave more images, right?
Well, no, he had arranged all 5,000 entries in the series so far. He's been doing this for 13 years, right? So every single one of those 5,000 images became a piece in this grand puzzle, which he had organized not necessarily chronologically, but aesthetically. So it wasn't a strictly chronological arrangement of the work. It was arranged aesthetically. And I found that to be really fascinating because, firstly, it demonstrates something that NFTs can do that a traditional painting on your wall or sculpture on the ground can't, in its kind of totality, right? The fact that each one of these little pixels can be expanded and become their own unique world. And also the knowledge that that unique world was created over the course of a day, and that this guy has been at it for 13 years. It was a culmination of 13 years of growth for Mike as an artist. And also you can see in that compendium of work the maturity in the technology, not necessarily his subject matter, because Mike's subject matter is completely immature and irreverent. He's gotten better in the last couple of months and the last couple of years, keying into the kind of political commentary and pop cultural commentary. In a way, I think of him, for better or worse, as our Honoré Daumier. So you can laugh, but I think that
don't you think it's closer to Jim Shaw than to Honoré Daumier?
Possibly, yeah. It's a mix. I had somebody said, "Is this on Kawara on methamphetamines?" And I actually kind of liked that, and I think that Mike would also like that.
Okay, so you thought it was amazing in a way?
Well, I thought what it was groundbreaking. I thought what the collage was to me was something completely unprecedented. Not only in the sense that there was no physical component, right? This was the first purely digital artwork we were selling, the first strictly non-fungible token we were selling. Last year, we offered for sale a Robert Alice painting that had a NFT component, which got a ton of attention. And a couple of years ago, we sold an AI.
For how much did you sell it?
The Robert Alice, I'm not sure. I don't recall. For a couple $100,000. It was a big price. Vis-a-vis the estimate we published, but it was not $69 million. So this was our first foray into a truly digital offering, and I felt like not only was it groundbreaking, but it was apropos of this moment in time. The zeitgeist felt like it had this particularly virtual flavor, and that may or may not be a result of this pandemic year that we lived through. I recall in the really early months of the pandemic when everyone flocked to the video game Animal Crossing. I'm not sure if you remember this, but there was this video game. People my age, I'm 31, and people my age and older too, and younger, of course, were playing this video game where you could have your own little island and you could play with your friends on their island. And the virtual experience all of a sudden had this cachet that was nearly tantamount to the lived experience. And that was by virtue of a need, right? Filling a need for people in this moment where their lived experience had been choked, right? That there was only so much you could actually do in the real world in the very beginning of the pandemic. And that membrane between lived experience and virtual experience has slowly but surely and now very quickly eroded. We started the bidding with a $100 starting bid. And within 8 minutes, the bid went from $100 to more than $1 million, which is completely unprecedented in the history of online sales at Christie's. We had bidders from, I believe, 7 or 8 countries in those first 8 minutes. We had more than 20 participants at that point. And of those 20 participants, 20 plus participants, only 3 were known to us. So everyone else was brand new. And that trend continued, above the $1 million level. There were very, very, there are a lot less players involved, but all of them were new to Christie's.
And finally, were you paid in real cash? I mean,
we were paid in Ethereum for the settlement.
Yeah, but after that, you were supposed to change the buyer to pay not cryptocurrency but real money, right?
I see what you mean. At first, we took a position per the advice of our outside counsel and all of the people who are very educated in this space, which again, I'm not. I'm just a humble art salesman. But the position was we could accept Ethereum for the principal only, for the hammer price, but that US dollars or a traditional fiat currency needed to be used for the buyer's premium. We actually changed course in the last couple of days of the auction. We determined that, in fact, yes, we could take Ethereum for the entire purchase, and we did that. The sale was settled completely in Ethereum, completely in cryptocurrency, and that's obviously a humongous first for any major auction house. I'm still kind of amazed we did that.
Okay, so it means you need to reuse this cryptocurrency.
Well, so I think, and I'm not sure, but I think we immediately transferred it to dollars. I don't think we held on to it. It takes a whole different kind of fortitude and bravery to hold on to cryptocurrency once you get it, because the fluctuation and the volatility is so high. I'm hopeful that in the future, obviously, we're going to remain engaged and relevant in the NFT-based art space.
And do you think that you could obtain this price because it was the first time and we are in a pioneer world in a way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of it. I definitely think that's part of it. However, I strongly believe if I had said yes to Mike with his first submission, which was a single image from his project.
Only 8 images it was?
It was only 1 image. The first submission again was the very juvenile picture of Mike with the characters, right? If we had offered that NFT for sale, I don't think we would have achieved anywhere close to the price that we did for the 5,000 days collage. I believe that Metakoven, and he's spoken to this too in his press release, and he also identified himself too. Metakoven is the buyer's pseudonym. But
it's not really any identification. We don't know him really, right?
No, but he just yesterday he introduced himself to the world. You should, if you Google Metakoven, yeah, he came out and gave his full name and his picture and everything. I had never seen Metakoven until after the sale, until yesterday. So despite being in contact with him throughout the sale. Anyway, I digress. If we had offered just that 1 image, I don't think we would have gotten nearly the same kind of staggering price that we did, because this NFT, the NFT that we sold, ultimately represents 13 years of an artist's career. It is a masterpiece in its totality. Its content can be debated, but the fact that it represents a sustained daily project by this artist over the course of 13 years, and it represents his perspective on current events and popular culture and political culture, and also contains all of the warts and ugliness of an artist growing up and coming into his own. That's what made this an important art historical object, not in addition to the fact that the technology is revolutionary.
And what is your guess about the future of NFT?
I have no guess. I have no guess. Here's what I know for sure. What I know for sure is that this moment was inevitable, and there is still a degree of inevitability when it comes to NFT technology, but also blockchain technology and DAO technology to actually become fully integrated in the art world, in the art marketplace, and in any cultural marketplace with a collectible aspect to it will be affected by NFT, by the blockchain. I don't know for NFT-based art what the longevity here and whether it's going to become the next, street art, or if it's going to be more impactful than that even. I don't know. We're in the very, very, very early stages of development here. I like to think of it as, if art history is this grand tree of life with very many branches and leaves and roots and all of that, then NFT-based art is really like a primordial soup that's nearby. It's completely disconnected, and Beeple has just sprung out of this soup and is climbing through the trees and breaking branches off. So,
but do you think that NFT could be associated as a technique to just conventional art, like painting or sculpture?
Yes, I believe that, and I believed this before. Last year I would have predicted that blockchain technology would be used primarily as a clerical device to keep track of things, because that's what's amazing about the blockchain, right? Is its unique capability to store information indelibly. We would be able to use this, for instance, to keep track of provenance, to solve for authenticity.
Yeah, that's obvious.
Right, yeah, to keep track of exhibition history, literature history, conservation history, title claims, all of those things can be organized in the blockchain. And so I would have expected that would have been, how we adopted it.
So what's the next step for Christie's now?
There should be an announcement next week. Yeah, yeah, it's really crazy. I've been, this whole week has been, even in ways, more insane than the
next week,
leading
like when?
Like late next week.
Like next Friday?
Like by Friday next week, probably.
And yeah. So busy try to follow, but it's very tough now.
Well, look, I love the competition. Like I used to work at Sotheby's, for example, full disclosure. And I totally respect what they're doing, diving into the space. They should. Competition is what makes a marketplace work. So I'll be watching, obviously very closely how they engage in the space. My feeling is that Christie's has more of a responsibility in terms of programming NFT-based artwork at the house than we've had with any other category ever, because there is no blue chip art gallery circuit or art institutional circuit that is going to give these artists a patina of importance and prove their collectability before they arrive on the marketplace. So determining our next steps and being very thoughtful about also addressing problems of diversity in the field and ensuring that there is a representation for various voices in the NFT art community. All of that's going to play into our strategy.
And tell me, this is off, but I didn't know the buyer told his name. So who is he?
His name is Vignesh. I don't recall his last name off the top of my head, but you can there are very many articles about it. Metacoven is his pseudonym. He is the proprietor of the Meta Purse, and that is the largest fund of non-fungible tokens in the world. He's one of the biggest landowners, if not the biggest landowner in the metaverse, which is a digital real estate world. It's mind-bending. All of this is mind-bending. But he's a true pioneer. He's a Y Combinator alum. He's a really brilliant guy. Very thoughtful man. And obviously a very rich man, and has made incredibly sound investments in the crypto world.
Okay. Bon, super. So I'm waiting for the next announcement, but I will write my article before. Okay, super. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Thank you,
so
bye.
much. It's good to
Bye.
meet you.